Hello, everybody, and welcome back inside Regency Furniture Stadium for Game 2 of the doubleheader between your Southern Maryland Blue Crabs and the Lancaster Barnstormers. Has turned into a cloudy evening here in Waldorf, Maryland, which was a very sunny evening earlier in the day. As we are set for Game 2 and the start of the second half of the Atlantic League season. Of course, Game 1 still counted towards the first half record-wise in the Atlantic League. And it's now the start of the second half. The Blue Crabs have an opportunity to try to start their way into a playoff spot here in the second half. And starting on the mound tonight for your Southern Maryland Blue Crabs will be Daryl Thompson. We'll jump into the lineups for your Blue Crabs in a moment. But first, let's start for the visitors, the Lancaster Barnstormers. And batting first for Lancaster is Darian Sanford. He'll be playing center field. We saw him steal a couple of bases back in Game 1 of the contest. Batting second and playing shortstop is Michael Martinez. Batting third and playing second base, Dan Gamache. He had a triple back in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Now here comes a couple of players who didn't play in Game 1, and these are arguably the top two hitters on the roster for the Lancaster Barnstormers. That's Caleb Gindel, the cleanup hitter. He's playing right field. The five hitter in the lineup, Joe Turdoslavich, is equally good. Both of them are the top two leaders on the team in home runs. Turdoslavich has 12, also has a .286 batting average, and Caleb Gindel, who we saw pitch in Game 1 but not hit, has 10 home runs in the season and a .298 batting average. The sixth hitter in the lineup in Game 2 is Casey Hobson. Now, Hobson was the cleanup hitter in Game 1. He's batting sixth here in Game 2. Andrew Applin was the five hitter in Game 1. He's batting seventh here in Game 2. Now, the eight hitter is the designated hitter in this contest. It's Zach Shank. And closing out the order is Parker Morin. Anderson De La Rosa was the catcher in Game 1. It's Parker Morin in Game 2 for the Barnstormers. On the mound tonight for Lancaster is Jonathan Albaladejo. We'll get into his numbers shortly. But first, let's take a look at your Southern Maryland Blue Crabs starting lineup, brought to you by Birch Oil. Batting first, he batted first in the first contest as well. He's leading off here in Game 2. It's Kent Blackstone playing second base. Batting second is Edwin Garcia. He played in Game 1, but he was in the 7 spot, so moved up to the 2 hole for Game 2. Batting third is the left fielder Joe Benson. The cleanup hitter playing first base, Dean Green. The two of them in the same spots for Games 1 and 2. Batting fifth, Corey Vaughn. He's back in center field. A big change for the Blue Crabs. They had Falsetti in Game 1. He was batting ninth. In Game 2, they turned to Charlie Valerio, who leads this team in batting average in terms of qualifiers. He's batting sixth. He's hitting .303 on the season. Batting seventh for the Blue Crabs, the right fielder number 1, Ruby Silva. Batting eighth, the designated hitter number 13, John Griffin. Closing out the order for Southern Maryland is the third baseman number 7, Josh McAdams. And as we mentioned earlier, on the mound is Daryl Thompson. And there's not much of a better way to start the second half than with your ace, Daryl Thompson. And he has been so consistent this year, of course, setting record after record in the Atlantic League. And Daryl Thompson here has been terrific so far this season.
Yeah. There's just no question about it, Austin. He's realistically been nothing short of perfect. Not only just this year, but really always in a Blue Crabs uniform. He comes into today with a 6-6 record. Now, Austin, that's especially impressive considering the fact that a little bit ago, back on June the 12th, Daryl Thompson was sitting at 2-6 with a 4.43 ERA. Now, some of the turnaround has to do with the fact that his team has been giving him a much better source of run support, considering that his ERA has only dropped from 4.43 to 3.79 over that time frame. But over that time frame, being his last 4 starts, Thompson has had all quality starts in each of his appearances. He's gone exactly 7 innings. In fact, in each of his last 5 appearances, he's gone exactly 7 innings. Now, when we narrow it down to these last 4 starts, it gets even more impressive. In these 4 starts, the most earned runs or runs in general that he's given up is 3, and that only happened once. In 2 of the 4, he's only allowed 1 earned run. Now, in all of these 4 starts, he has struck out at least 7 batters and the most walks he's given up was a single walk. Thompson is nothing short of perfect every time out, and to start off the second half with Daryl Thompson on the mound is exactly what the doctor ordered. Now let's get into some of these records that he's been setting of late, Austin. When you look at Daryl Thompson, it's just history in the making. Daryl, the hometown hero, is one for the record books, and he's been shattering records left and right. In his last 4 starts, he has moved up in ALPB history 3 separate times. It began on June 12th in a start in which he moved into 5th all-time in innings pitched in league history. His next start on June 19th in New Britain, not only did he move into 4th in league history in innings pitched, but also picked up his 48th Atlantic League win. Austin, he has been nothing short of terrific.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of the numbers there for Daryl Thompson. Talked about it earlier, the importance of having an ace like that start the second half of the season. And again, he has been absolutely outstanding so far here in the second half. We'll step aside, be back in a couple of moments for first pitch. Oh, well, looks like they're about to take the field nonetheless. So the Blue Crabs here have an opportunity to win the first game of the second half.
And, of course, no national anthem, as that was already played before game one, but the fans love it. I mean, honestly, Austin, when Daryl Thompson comes out onto the mound, there's just a little bit of a different atmosphere here in Southern Maryland. The fans are a little bit more riled up. They're a little bit more invested in the game. There's just something different in the air, and we all know the reason. He went to high school less than 5 miles from here. He's one of 2 La Plata High School natives to end up in the MLB. This is 8th season in Southern Maryland, and he is the most bona fide and stat-stuttering Atlantic Leaguer ever from this area, and easily the best Blue Crab of all time. Was voted the GOAT of all time. Or I guess not the GOAT of all time. How about just the GOAT in Blue Crab history in this past offseason?
Yeah, well, I'd like to just discuss a little bit of his Major League pedigree. He has pitched on 2 occasions in Major League Baseball, the first of which occurred back in 2008 when he started a game against the New York Yankees. He tells a very funny story about starting a game for the Reds in New York City. Now, he didn't take the team bus. Instead, he took the subway, and by the time he got to Yankee Stadium, it was 12 o'clock for a 1 o'clock start time. He took the subway uptown. He was supposed to be going downtown. Nonetheless, he got there in time, pitched 6 shutout innings against the star-studded Yankees with Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Jorge Posada, that bunch, yeah. And he did an outstanding job in that game. He did have 2 more Major League starts that season before being sent back down to the minors. He was called back up again in 2011. There's a better look at Daryl Thompson in a Blue Crabs uniform. He's had just such a terrific year to this point. He was terrific last season. Of course, named the Blue Crabs pitching coach coming into this season. And played at the Major League levels in parts of 2 seasons. As we are set to go in Game 2 as Darian Sanford steps into the left-hander's batter's box. Sanford playing center field tonight. Played center field back in Game 1 as well. First pitch fastball upstairs, but it's swung on and missed by Sanford, and the count 0-1 on the left-handed hitter. The 0-1 offering swung on and fouled back to the screen behind home plate. Now the Lancaster Barnstormers are in their red jerseys with the red batting helmet, gray pants, and the red lining on the pants. Blue Crabs in their Iwo Jima Military Appreciation Night jerseys as the 0-2 pitch is swung on and fouled back to the screen yet again. Count remains 0-2.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I don't know if this is the case for the Blue Crabs, but typically the starting pitcher will decide what uniform is being worn, and that is shown through the fact that in nearly every start the Blue Crabs have, that Daryl Thompson's on the mound, they wear their red pinstripe jerseys. Now, they wore those in Game 1 today, so those are off the table, but nonetheless, you don't see Thompson in these jerseys too often.
0-2 is swung on and fouled back behind home plate and over the press box. They make an interesting point, Andrew, because the Blue Crabs have so many jerseys.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, they have a lot to choose from. Thompson's favorite seems to be the red.
The 0-2 swung on a line drive foul down the first base line out of play, and the count remains 0-2 on the leadoff man, Darian Sanford.
And these are two individuals that are just veterans in the truest form, in that they really have perfected their craft. Thompson's game is getting deep into ball games, always providing you consistencies, and of course Sanford's is his speed.
The pitch to Sanford, cut on, a slow ground ball down the first base line, foul over towards the Lancaster dugout.
And I was talking to Mike Falsetti a couple of days ago, and I heard Mike Falsetti talking about, and of course Falsetti not catching today, but how fun it is to catch Daryl Thompson after this pitch.
0-2 pitch. Bunt attempt by Sanford. He takes, looks like he pulls back in time, as it is called a ball on the count 1-2 on the left-handed hitter.
And of course, even if that pitch was fouled off with the new Atlantic League MLB rules, a foul bunt with 2 strikes is permitted one time before it's called a strikeout.
1-2, breaking ball low and in the dirt, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Darian Sanford has played an affiliated ball on 2 occasions, the first of which was back in 2010 and 2011 in rookie ball with the Kansas City organization. Here's the 2-2 from Thompson. Cut on and chopped over to second base. And Blackstone ranges over towards first base, flips to first just in time. A very close play as Sanford made it close. The second team that Darian Sanford played for was the Washington Nationals in the Double-A of the Washington Nationals over in Harrisburg. That was back in 2017.
Yeah, and he's a guy that just brings so many different things to the table, whether it be the speed. He's also a guy with really, really good plate vision. Thompson knows that and is not even going to throw a single ball on that first at bat. But he's a guy that draws a ridiculous amount of walks, which really plays into his hand.
First pitch swinging from the 2-hitter. It's behind home plate. Valeria runs out of room. That ball bounced right in front of you, Andrew.
Yeah, just about. I just stuck my foot out. I wasn't going to lean over the seat, but that one just about got me right in the face, Austin.
Wow.
I didn't do what you did and try to catch it, although I maybe should have.
Would have been pretty cool. As Michael Martinez, who bats second, digs back in from the left side. The 0-1 is cut on and drilled foul down the first base line. He got a good piece of that.
And he sends the Lancaster bullpen scattering. So this man's really coming after everybody.
He is. You know, he is somebody who's got a target, and you don't want to be that target because almost got hit back-to-back pitches. The 0-2 from Thompson. Breaking ball low in the dirt. And Michael Martinez manages to hold up. I don't think it was very close for him going around, but they did motion over to first base, and with the new Atlantic League rules, they are more generous, the umpires are for that matter, in terms of check swings. Here's the 1-2. Swung on a high pop-up in the infield. McAdams into foul ground. Maybe 10 feet foul of the third base line where he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. So a quick 2 up and 2 down from Daryl Thompson.
And, of course, this is game 2 of this doubleheader between the Blue Crabs and the Barnstormers, but we have just seen clean, fast, brisk baseball on the defensive side for the Blue Crabs and a lot of good patience offensively for Southern Maryland. In game 1, it was just a 7-inning contest, but they set a single-season high in terms of walks drawn with 10.
First pitch from Thompson, fastball outside edge for strike 1. As Dan Gamache, who tripled back in game 1 of the doubleheader, waves the bat behind his head. Here's the 0-1. Swung on a high pop-up in the infield yet again. Josh McAdams motions maybe 20 feet in from the third base bag and makes the catch for the final out. A 1-2-3 inning from Daryl Thompson. We're finished with the half. Be back after this. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Adam Choplik, left-handed pitcher for the Blue Crabs. Every Blue Crabs Wednesday home game is Wind Up Wednesday Ladies Night at Regency Furniture Stadium, presented by Cove Point Winery. At every wind-up Wednesday ladies' night, women will get in for just $5 and can order from a long list of fine wines. And watch every baseball game from Southern Maryland at the same time. We look forward to seeing you at the ballpark.
Bottom half of the first inning from Regency Furniture Stadium as Kent Blackstone digs in from the left side, taps home plate once, and awaits the offering from the starting pitcher for the Lancaster Barnstormers, Jonathan Albaladejo. First pitch from Albaladejo, fastball, outer edge for strike one on Blackstone. Albaladejo has a 3.81 ERA on the season. Has been one of the better starters for Lancaster, as the 0-1 runs a little bit inside and the count a ball and a strike. Among starting pitchers, Albaladejo has the second best ERA, behind only Kyle Davies. The 1-1 pitch swung on and chopped foul over to the Lancaster bullpen. And the count one ball and 2 strikes on Kent Blackstone. Blackstone digs back in. The 1-2 offering, fastball inside again, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. This is only the 5th start of the year from Albaladejo. He was out from May 7th until June the 28th. His last 2 starts, he's been quite good, though. As the home plate umpire James Clayton calls time, we'll give you the umpiring crew right now. Behind home plate, James Clayton. At first base, Carl Proctor. Over at third is Nate Caldwell. Here's the 2-2. Breaking ball upstairs and outside, and the count 3 balls and 2 strikes on Kent Blackstone. Blackstone walked twice in game 1. He also extended his hit streak to 6 games with a single back in the first inning of game 1. Here's the 3-2, swung on, a 1-hopper over to short, fielded by Martinez. He'll flip to first, it's in time, and there's 1 away in the bottom half of the first inning. Now back to Jonathan Albaladejo and his last 2 starts since returning from injury. On June 28th, against these very same Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, he went 5 innings of work, allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, just 1 was earned. He did walk a batter and struck out 2. Now his next start, at High Point, he allowed 4 runs, but just 1 was earned in 5 2/3. Allowed 4 hits. He did hit a batter, did not walk 1, and struck out 7. First pitch to Edwin Garcia is swung on, hit high in the air to shallow center field. The center fielder, Darian Sanford, moves in 5 steps and makes the catch for the second out. So a quick 2 up and 2 down from Jonathan Albaladejo. So a promising start to just his 3rd appearance since returning from an injury that kept him sidelined for more than a month and a half. Here is Joe Benson, who digs his feet into the left-hander's batter's box. First pitch from Albaladejo, fastball right down the middle for strike 1. Darrell Thompson threw 15 pitches en route to a 1-2-3 inning. The 0-1 pitch is cut on and grounded over to short. Martinez flips to first, and that'll do it. It's just 9 pitches that Albaladejo uses en route to his own 1-2-3 inning. We're finished with 1 inning of play from Regency Furniture Stadium. There's no score after 1. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, this is Andrew Banstra, the voice of the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, and I want you to come see America's pastime change before your eyes. Did you know that the Atlantic League is partnered with the MLB starting this season to incorporate an electronic strike zone to call balls and strikes at Blue Crabs games? That means a radar tracking technology and an MLB-defined strike zone will determine strikes and balls at Southern Maryland Blue Crabs games this season. Also, batters can steal first base on any pitch that is not caught by the catcher. Baseball is changing before our eyes, and the only place to see it happen is here in the Atlantic League and at a Blue Crabs game. So come check it out at Regency Furniture Stadium.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, this is Tommy Thorpe, left-handed pitcher for the Blue Crabs. Did you know that every Thursday night game at Regency Furniture Stadium will feature the brand new food special, Clyburn's Chow Hall? Just for $30, you can enjoy all-you-can-eat food in the Legends Club. Clyburn's Chow Hall will alternate between beer and wings presented by Foster Grill off Waldorf and tacos and margaritas presented by Mexico Restaurant.
Top half of the second inning from Regency Furniture Stadium as 4, 5, and 6 in the Lancaster order come to the plate. Caleb Gindel, Joe Turdoslavich, and Casey Hobson. As Caleb Gindel digs in from the left side, waves his bat behind his head. First pitch fastball upstairs and outside for ball 1. In the first inning of work, Daryl Thompson threw 15 pitches, 12 of which were for strikes as the 1-1 is cut on at 1-0 is cut on a miss. The count now 1 ball and 1 strike on Gindel, who restraps his batting gloves. Digs that back left foot into the left-hander's batter's box. The 1-1 delivery, fastball just off the outside edge. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike. Again, your umpiring crew tonight, James Clayton behind home plate, Carl Proctor over at first base, and Nate Caldwell at third base. As the 2-1 delivery, fastball, this time it catches the outer half of the plate, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, moving forward, there won't be any question about what's a strike and what's a ball here in the Atlantic League as the 2-2 pitch is swung on and a high pop-up down the third base line. McAdams drifts into foul ground about 10 feet and makes the catch for the first out. Well, how about that? That is the third pop-out catch that has been made by Josh McAdams. 3 of the 4 outs that Daryl Thompson has recorded have been pop-ups over to the third base side. And here comes Joe Turdoslavich, who also had the night off in the first game of the doubleheader. So he's well rested here for game 2. He's put together a very impressive season for Lancaster as the first pitch is swung on and fouled off over the screen and over the press box behind home plate. And the count 0-1. Turdoslavich comes into tonight's game with a .286 batting average. He's also belted 12 homers. Good for an .850 OPS. The 0-1 breaking ball, and it's a tapper. Valerio picks it up just about 5 feet in front of home plate and makes the throw over to first base in time. It was an attempt at a check swing from Joe Turdoslavich, deflected off of his bat and rolled slowly in front of home plate. The catcher, Charlie Valerio, did a fantastic job to pick that ball up quickly and throw over to first base for the second out. So a quick 2 up and 2 down here on the top of the second from Daryl Thompson. And with that, Casey Hobson, who's playing first base here in game 2, digs in from the left side. First pitch, fastball, foul tip into the middle of Valerio. And the count, no balls and 1 strike. Hobson taps home plate once, waves the bat behind his head. Base path's empty, 2 outs, no score from Regency Furniture Stadium. The 0-1 pitch, fastball swung on and fouled off over the dugout of the Blue Crabs. And onto the concourse level, the count no balls and 2 strikes. Daryl Thompson has done well to get ahead in counts. Got a lot of these Barnstormers players to swing at pitches out of the zone as the 0-2 pitch is swung on and fouled back to the screen behind home plate. Had a couple of pop-ups down the third base line, or 3 to be exact. That's how many catches Josh McAdams has made. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Fastball swung on, a high fly ball into shallow left field. Edwin Garcia, the shortstop, about 20 feet into the left field grass. He makes the grab for the final out of the inning. Another 1-2-3 inning work by Daryl Thompson. The end of an inning and a half. It's the Blue Crabs, nothing. The Barnstormers, nothing. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, are you looking to watch a game from one of our luxury suites with 25 of your closest friends? How about the high-end Legends Club in left field? Call 301-638-9788 and ask to speak to a sales representative about your party and group outing.
Bottom half of the second inning from Regency Furniture Stadium. There's no score, and it's Dean Green who digs in from the left side. Dean Green has been a force to be reckoned with here in the Atlantic League. In his 6 games, as the first pitch misses low and in for ball 1. Comes into this contest with a .435 batting average, an OPS of 1275 as the 1-0 again misses low and in from Jonathan Albaladejo. And the count 2 balls and no strikes on the big left-handed hitter.
Yeah, Green has been nothing shy of just absolutely phenomenal to this point. He has 5 extra base hits in 6 games. He has a 6-game hit streak in 6 games. And how about a dozen RBIs in 6 games? The OPS, not too bad either, sitting at 1.275.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, 1275. The 2-0 pitch on the inside half. And it's called for a strike, count 2 balls and 1 strike. The 2-1 now is swung on and dribbled down the first base line, foul.
He's also drawn 5 walks in 6 games. And for the Blue Crabs, that is darn good. This is a Southern Maryland team that before their last 2 games had a season high as a team of 6 walks drawn. Now, impressively, in their last 2 games combined, one of which was a 9-inning game, the latter was a 7-inning game, Southern Maryland has drawn a total of 19 walks, which is just out of this world comparatively.
The 2-2 pitch is swung on and drilled into left center field, but the left fielder, Andrew Applin, jumps on his horse and makes the catch in front of the World's Gym sign in left center. Well hit by Dean Green. Looked like he might have extra bases, but Andrew Applin says, think again, I'm going to grab this ball. He does just that, and there is 1 away. in the bottom of the second inning.
Yeah, that was a really pretty swing from Dean Green. He did a good job at getting that pitch where it was thrown, hits it the other way, and really just pieces it nicely. You can't get mad at yourself for hitting it hard into the alley, but hitting it towards a speedy left fielder. Sometimes it happens, and that's what happened right there.
It's the 5-hitter Corey Vaughn who digs in. Among qualified players, he has the highest OPS in the team at 870 as the first pitch misses low and outside for ball 1. Dean Green, of course, has the highest overall, but he's only played in 6 games, does not quite qualify. Among the technical terms, if you need at least 3 at-bats per game, or 3 plate appearances, that is the 1-0 pitch misses in the count 2 balls and no strikes. Charlie Valerio is second in that category. He has an 813 OPS. As the 1-0 pitch is swung on and tapped foul behind home plate. Count a ball and a strike on Corey Vaughn.
Yeah, and Jonathan Abladejo has been a staple in the Atlantic League for some time. A couple of years ago, he was the Atlantic League Pitcher of the Year and had a couple injuries this year, but bouncing back real nice.
2-0 pitch, low and outside, or I beg your pardon, the 2-1 pitch, low and outside, and the count 3 balls and a strike. Albaladejo, similar to Darryl Thompson, and they both have very, very good control. 3-1 pitch, and that's just the touch low for ball 4. It was awfully close, but the home plate umpire, James Clayton, says it's below the knees. And it is a walk issue to Corey Vaughn, so a runner on first base with 1 out, and that extends his long streak of reaching base or hitting an RBI, Andrew.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So now it sits at 36 games. You know, you're right, that pitch was very close. I wonder if in some ways we mentioned, as we're going to see Albaladejo going to talk out to the third base umpire for whatever reason, I think that he is double-checking on these Atlantic League MLB rules because, of course, there's a lot of new rules going on. Sometimes when right-handers pick off to first base, they don't completely step off. They basically swivel their back foot, which technically isn't stepping off. Part of this MLB Atlantic League rule change is that you need to step off of the rubber as a pitcher to pick off. That likely what he was having that conversation about.
First pitch to Charlie Valerio is swung on, a high chopper to second. Throw to second is in time. That's all they'll get, as it is a force out. And there is 2 away now in the bottom of the second inning. That third base umpire you mentioned, Nate Caldwell. James Clayton behind home plate. Carl Proctor at first. Nate Caldwell at third here for game 2 of the doubleheader.
And, of course, Southern Maryland won game 1 of this doubleheader over these Lancaster Barnstormers. This game, the first of this second half, it's crucial that Southern Maryland starts this half off to a good foot, not to mention the fact that this is a Blue Crabs team that could really use a strong start, and no better way to do it than with Ruby Silva, who really was smashing the ball in the first.
First pitch cut on, hit high in the air to left field, back track wall, you can forget about it. A 2-run shot from Ruby Silva, and the Blue Crabs lead this game 2-0. Doesn't get much better than that for Ruby Silva, who started the first half off very nicely and does the same here in the second half as he belts the 2-run shot over the mini monster and gives the Blue Crabs a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the second.
Yeah, and when we talk about the fact that Ruby Silva was so good at the start of the first half, let's just think about the fact that, well, you know, maybe we talk about the All-Star break may have been the break he needed. Maybe he just needed to flip it over to a new half. I mean,
exactly.
Why
Maybe
not?
That's it. First pitch to John Griffin. This is low and outside for ball 1. And just like that, the Blue Crabs have a 2-run lead over Lancaster in the bottom of the second inning. That is the most earned runs allowed by Jonathan Albaladejo since returning from injury. As that pitch is cut on and tapped foul behind home plate. He allowed 2 runs, one of which was earned on June the 28th. Then on July 3rd, he went 5 2/3, allowing 4 runs. Again, just 1 earned, though. Pitch to Griffin. Misses low and outside, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. You mentioned Jonathan Albaladejo in his career here in the Atlantic League. Pitched for Bridgeport back in 2016 and 2017. The 1-1 delivery to John Griffin on the outer half, and the count 1-2. I beg your pardon, the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pitched 172 innings in 2016. The 2-2 delivery, low and in the dirt, and the count runs full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Joined Lancaster back in 2018. Had a solid 9-7 record with the club and a 4.41 ERA. The payoff pitch to Griffin. Outside ball 4. So another oddity from Jonathan Albaladejo, as he's now walked 2 batters so far this season. That has not been common for Albaladejo to do. He walked 2 back on May the 2nd and 3 on May the 7th, but that was it. Aside from that, he has walked 1 or fewer batters in all of his starts. As the 9-hitter Josh McAdams digs in from the right side, first pitch misses low and outside for ball 1. And the catcher, Parker Morin, asks for a new baseball from the home plate umpire James Clayton. For a moment, I thought he was going to go out to the mound and have a conversation with Jonathan Albaladejo.
We talk about all these walks, and some of it might be because this is a Southern Maryland team that's hitting .337 coming into this doubleheader in the month of July.
1-0 pitch is swung on and tipped foul behind home plate.
And despite just not that many hits in Game 1, it's also a Southern Maryland team that put up an 8th spot on the Barnstormers in Game 1 of this doubleheader. And now Ruby Silva hits his 7th home run of the season, accumulating 30 RBIs in the process. So big-time stuff out of this Blue Crabs team.
1-1 pitch, swung on and driven down the right field line, tailing foul, and it's into the kids' park in the count of ball and 2 strikes.
All the while doing all of this batting average stuff and getting all these hits. The month of July did not start off in favor of the Blue Crabs, as they had a game in which there was a total of 30 combined runs and 40 combined hits. It was a loss to the York Revolution. The Blue Crabs have not lost since. They lost 1 game since. They have won each of their last 3 games. They could tie a season high with 4 with a victory here in Game 2 of the Twin Bill.
The 1-2 from Albaladejo is swung on and dribbled foul down the third base line. The count 2 balls and 2 strikes on Josh McAdams, who restraps his batting gloves. And home plate umpire James Clayton calls time temporarily as McAdams digs back in. John Griffin leads off of first base with 2 outs. The Blue Crabs 2, the Barnstormers nothing. The 1-2 is cut on, a ground ball through the right side for his base hit. Griffin goes station to station. There are runners on first and second with 2 outs in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And we continue to see production out of Josh McAdams, Andrew.
That's exactly right, and he's really feeding off of the rest of this team, and in many ways he's sparked a lot of the things on this team. He's a guy that can do it both ways. Back to the last point about the fact that how the Blue Crabs have been playing in the month of July. They've been playing well. The rest of the league offensively has really been struggling. Southern Maryland with the worst team batting average in the Atlantic League. But in the month of July, a .337 batting average, that's second best. The next best sits at .250. So by far and away, one of the only offensive teams performing at a high level right now.
It's the second baseman, Kent Blackstone, who digs in. First pitch misses low and inside for ball 1 from Jonathan Albaladejo. The Blue Crabs lead this game 2-0. Runners on first and second, 2 outs. In the bottom of the 2nd inning, as the 1-0 delivery, breaking ball outer half for strike 1. And the count, a ball and a strike. After a 1-2-3 inning in both the first and second innings from Darrell Thompson, and a 1-2-3 inning in the bottom of the first from Jonathan Albaladejo, the Blue Crabs have gotten to the right-handed pitcher here in the bottom of the 2nd as the 1-1 is swung on and fouled back to the backstop. Count a ball and 2 strikes. Had a pair of hits, including a 2-run home run. Had 2 walks to go along with it.
And this is just a premier matchup in the Atlantic League between Abaladejo and Daryl Thompson. You won't find many more individuals other than Thompson and Abaladejo with as much Atlantic League experience and as much Atlantic League success over these last 4 to 5 years as Abaladejo hasn't been in the league quite as long as Thompson has, but both of them have really, really dominated while they've been here, and they've been here for a long time. So you won't find a lot of guys with that much experience and success. One of the best matchups you're going to find in this league.
1-2 pitch, swung on and lined foul down the third base line, just in front of the Legends Club, as a couple of young fans sprint over to try to get that ball. Runners on first and second with 2 outs. Bottom of the second inning and a 2-0 lead for Southern Maryland. Those runs coming on the 2-run bomb to left from Ruby Silva. The 1-2 pitch. Fastball runs in and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes on Kent Blackstone.
We talk about all the walks that Southern Maryland's been drawn lately, Austin. A lot of that, and you've pointed this out, a couple of times, and you're exactly right. Blackstone has terrific plate vision.
The 2-2 swung on and missed. It's going to get away from the catcher, Morin. He can't find it, and that allows Kent Blackstone to advance to third base on a dropped third strike. So not the first stolen base by a Blue Crab, but it does extend the inning as Blackstone reaches first.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Of course, that's a great example of what will be when somebody finally steals first base. Of course, the Atlantic League, Major League Baseball rule changes this year consist of the fact that if a pitch is not caught cleanly by a catcher, a batter has the option to steal first base. Now, of course, that was just a traditional drop third strike, but that's kind of what it looks like, to give you an example.
Yeah, that's just a mistake from Parker Morin. It's a ball he needs to block and keep in front of him. First pitch to Edwin Garcia. Fastball misses outside in the count 1-0. But instead it got by the catcher Parker Morin, and Kent Blackstone able to advance to first base. Base is full of Blue Crabs. Garcia's got a chance to drive him home here in the bottom of the second as the 1-0 pitch is swung on and fouled off the catcher Morin's shin pads. Count 1 ball and 1 strike on the right-handed hitters. Griffin leads off third. McAdams from second and Kent Blackstone with a short lead off of first base. Garcia stepped out, now digs back in, taps his bat off of his left cleat, takes a practice swing, and awaits the 1-1 from Jonathan Abaladejo. The pitch. Swung on a ground ball through the right side for a base hit. Griffin scores. McAdams rounds third. He'll score. It's a 2 RBI single off the bat of Edwin Garcia. And the Blue Crabs lead it 4-0.
2 points here. First, we talk about the fact that Edwin Garcia has been much in the clutch of late. He's been doing it with 2 outs, runners in scoring position at a high mark. Additionally, that doesn't happen. What just happened does not happen if Josh McAdams is not running out of his shoes the second contact is made. He knows there's 2 outs. He knows that this is a huge ball game for the Blue Crabs. The second contact was made. He was rounding third base. I mean, basically when the ball was fielded by the right fielder, and with McAdams' speed and a terrific round, easily scores on that play. Great base running from Josh McAdams.
First pitch to the 3-hitter. Joe Benson misses up and in the count 1-0. Garcia leads off of first base. Blackstone off third in the bottom of the second inning, where the Blue Crabs already have a 4-0 lead. The 1-0. Swung on and missed in the count, a ball and a strike on Kent Blackstone. He's 0 for 1 in Game 2. Did not have a hit in Game 1 either. He's had an up-and-down season at the plate. Finished the first half nicely with a 4-hit game, but aside from that, it's been a rough going from Benson as he takes the 1-1 outside and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. That's right.
And, of course, the mean Dean Green awaiting on deck. This could be an inning where the Blue Crabs really put a stamp on this ballgame. And with Daryl Thompson on the mound, a 4 spot in the bottom of the second realistically does it for the game in many facets if you base it off of his last 4 starts. And each of those 4 starts, they've all been quality starts. Only one of them, in fact, has seen at least 3 runs scored. All of them outside of that have seen 2 or less. And in each of them, he's gone 7 innings, picking up the win in each of his last 4 starts.
The 3-1 pitch swung on, a high fly ball into left center field. The left fielder, Andrew Applin, drifts to left center and makes the grab for the final out of the second inning. But not before the Blue Crabs score 4 runs. They strand 2, 3 hits, and a pair of walks here in the bottom of the second. It's 4-0 for Regency Furniture Stadium. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Craig Stem, right-handed pitcher for the Blue Crabs. Here at Regency Furniture Stadium, we've dedicated every Friday home game to remember everybody deployed. On Red Fridays, presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, the Blue Crabs will wear red uniforms to honor those who have served. Plus, tickets are just $5 when you show your military ID. Come help us celebrate those who have served our country at Regency Furniture Stadium every Friday night.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, this is Andrew Barnstormers, the voice of the Blue Crabs, and I have some exciting news for you. Did you know that the Blue Crabs Atlantic League has partnered with the MLB? This groundbreaking partnership includes rule changes that foreshadow the future of America's pastime as we know it. The MLB wants to create more offense and cut down on the time of games, and the rule changes to achieve this include banning mound visits, requiring each pitcher that enters the game to face at least 3 batters, and shortening time in between innings, and much more. Come be the first to see the future of baseball at Regency Furniture Stadium.
Top half of the third inning from Regency Furniture Stadium. It is the Blue Crabs 4 and the Barnstormers 0. A pair of 1, 2, 3 innings worked from Daryl Thompson to start this ball game. As it is the 7-hitter in the Lancaster order, Andrew Applin, who made a couple of nice plays out in left center back in the bottom half of the second as he digs in from the left side. He hit 5th back in game 1 as the first pitch fastball misses outside. But after Joe Trdoslavich and Caleb Gindel entered the ball game here in game 2, he's been pushed back to the 7 spot as the 1-0 fastball. That runs inside as well on the count 2 balls and no strikes. It's not often that Daryl Thompson falls behind in the count 2 balls and no strikes. He has some of the best control in the Atlantic League, Andrew.
Yeah, he really does, and it's just night in and night out. When you consider the fact, you look back at each of his last 4 starts, how about just 3 walks in 28 innings pitched?
The 2-0 misses upstairs and outside as well, count 3-0. Here's the 3-0 offering. Fastball outside edge, and the count 3 balls and 1 strike.
You just don't see a lot of people with the control that Daryl Thompson has. It really just blows my mind.
3-1 pitch, swung on and foul back behind home plate. Count 3 balls and 2 strikes. So far in 95 innings of work from Daryl Thompson this season, he has walked just 8 batters. This season has been especially good in that department. The 3-2 pitch, swung on and fouled off, again behind home plate. Count stays at 3-2. Did not record a single walk in 7 innings of work his last time out at Long Island, where he allowed 4 hits and 2 earned runs.
Here comes
the
the
3-2, swung on and fouled back to the screen behind home plate. Count remains 3-2. Now, on the note of not allowing a lot of walks, he has allowed more homers this year than he has walks, which was quite an interesting sign there. He wants to throw strikes, sometimes at the expense of leaving one over the heart of the plate, and the 3-2 pitch is cut on and popped up. Josh McAdams is busy yet again as he motions over to the Blue Crabs dugout and makes the catch for the first out. That is the fourth time that Josh McAdams has been involved in a putout, and a pop-out for that matter, in this ball game. 4 of the 7 outs recorded have been pop-outs to Josh McAdams. Has not been involved in any other put-outs, to be clear, but 4 pop-outs recorded by the Barnstormers bats. As the 8-hitter in the Lancaster order, Zach Schenk, digs in. First pitch, fastball to the right-handed hitter is in there for strike 1. Schenk the DH here in game 2. The 0-1 pitch misses low, and the count a ball and a strike. Back in game 1, Zach Schenk played shortstop, but here in game 2, Michael Martinez takes that spot as the pitch is cut on and fouled back behind home plate yet again. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes on Zach Schenk, with the base paths empty and 1 away in the top of the 3rd inning. Blue Crabs 4, Barnstormers nothing. Valerio sets up a little outside. The 1-2 pitch. Fastball looked awfully good, but the home plate umpire, James Clayton, said, nope, that's a little outside, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, you know, we won't have to be settling this question of whether it's a strike or a ball in short order, as the electronic strike zone expected to be implemented here in the second half as the 2-2 pitch misses just outside in the count 3-2. Of course, we saw it first used in a professional game in the All-Star game. For the most part, it worked quite well and is thought to be the future of baseball as the 3-2 is swung on and missed, struck him out. Zach Schenk goes down swinging, and there are 2 away in the top of the 3rd.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Austin, I would be surprised if it is not implemented at the highest level of baseball. I'd set the over-under at 5.5 years. I'd take the under.
I'd take the under. I think maybe 3 years from now it will be used. I think we see the end of the year here in the Atlantic League, and should everything go over smoothly, I think there could be a lot of good things coming in terms of the electronic strike zone. I could see it even as early as maybe 2021, 2022.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that
first pitch fastball outside edge to the 9-hitter.
I think
Parker Morin.
It's probably going to take at least 1 full season in the Atlantic League. That would be next year. You get a little bit this year, some point in the next couple of weeks, most likely. But I think after 1 full season and after only 1 little glitch that we saw in that Atlantic League All-Star game, I would almost be shocked if it's not in the MLB. If not 2 years, 3 years. I mean, it just makes so much sense once all the edges are smoothed out.
I agree, as the 0-1 is outside, count 1-1. The 1-1 pitch, breaking ball, and it fools Morin in the count 1-2. Morin restraps his batting gloves. Takes a check swing, practice swing, taps home plate once, and motions the bat behind his head. The 1-2 from Thompson. Fastball upstairs, count 2-2. 2 outs, base paths empty. In the top of the 3rd inning, Blues Crabs added 4 runs in the bottom of the 2nd, 2 of which came on a 2-run shot from Ruby Silva, the other 2 on a 2 RBI single off the bat of Edwin Garcia. Here's the 2-2 pitch, cut on and fouled off down the 3rd base line, out of play and into the parking lot.
And Darryl Thompson is just the epitome of not only excellence, but consistency. We've talked about this a couple of times. Scouts aren't looking for a guy that just goes out and has a 5-for-5 night with 3 home runs and then is hitless for his next 6 contests. You want the guy that's consistently very, very good, and that's just Darryl Thompson in a nutshell.
2-2 misses upstairs and outside again in the count. 3 balls and 2 strikes on the 9-hitter Parker Morin. Parker Morin hits .301 on the season. He's been very good, similar to Charlie Valerio as a catcher who hits for a high batting average as the 3-2 is cut on and popped up into shallow right center field. Ruby Silva calls off Kent Blackstone and makes the grab for the final out. That'll do it for the top half of the third inning. The Blue Crabs still lead this game 4-0. At the end of 2.5, it is the Blue Crabs 4 and the Lancaster Barnstormers nothing. Interesting scene as Daryl Thompson left the field, seemed to rub his arms off. A little bit of a bizarre scene. We'll leave you with that as we step aside. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
I'm Stephen Thompson, box office assistant for the Blue Crabs. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? On August the 17th, come out to visit Regency Furniture Stadium as we celebrate Jurassic Park night at the ballpark. We will have a dinosaur appearance and fireworks after the game. We look forward to seeing you on August 17th for all the festivities at the ballpark.
Bottom half of the third inning from Regency Furniture Stadium as the Blue Crabs lead the Barnstormers 4-0. And Dean Green kicks around some dirt in the left-hander's batter's box. Green is 0 for 1 today in game 2 of the doubleheader. He's hitting .417 overall in the season. Had a pair of hits back in game 1. And came into this contest hitting .435. He's been on fire since joining the Blue Crabs. First pitch swing, cut on a high fly ball into deep center field. Back on his horse and making the catch is Darian Sanford at the warning track. A terrific play made by the center fielder on a ball that was hit probably 390 feet out to center field.
Yeah, if you really think about it, unless it's Darian Sanford or Corey Vaughn, who steps up to the plate in center field, you're not making that catch. And that's the second time that Dean Green has just blistered a baseball. But it's just either gone right to somebody or to the speediest man, likely one of the speediest men in professional baseball, in Darian Sanford.
First pitch fastball outside edge for strike one. Now you mentioned Dean Green 0 for 2. First at bat, he ripped a line drive into left center field, but Andrew Applin jumped on his horse that time and made the grab as the 0-1 pitch again called a strike by the home plate umpire James Clayton, and the count 0-2. Vaughn moves the bat behind his head. 0-2 pitch in the dirt.
And that's
count 1-2.
That's a pitch Corey Vaughn has the option to steal first base on. And it's especially interesting considering the fact that we talked about how it's kind of ingrained into hitters' minds. Your first instinct is not to steal first. Well, the catcher's first instinct is to kind of be lackadaisical with the ball that gets away from him with nobody on.
0-2 breaking ball misses low, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes on Corey Vaughn. Base path's empty with 1 away. The Blue Crabs lead this game by 4. Albaladejo comes set. The 2-2 offering to Corey Vaughn outside in the count 3-2.
Mentioned that earlier in this game, Corey Vaughn has extended his streak to 36 games in which he's reached base or recorded an RBI.
And the 3-2 pitch is cut on, hit high in the air to center field. Darian Sanford drifts back about 5 feet in front of the warning track and makes the grab for the second out. A quick 2 up and 2 down from Jonathan Albaladejo, but those balls were hit very hard. One on a line, the other in a high fly ball from two of the best hitters on this Blue Crab roster in Dean Green and Corey Vaughn. Here's Charlie Valerio. He moves some dirt around in the left-hander's batter's box. Taps home plate a couple of times. Here's the first pitch from Albaladejo. Fastball on the outside corner and the count 0-1.
And yet again a situation in which Southern Maryland has more runs than they do hits. It's coming from the free passes, and they've been coming in bunches.
0-1 pitch, cut on, a high pop-up in a shallow left field. Left fielder Applin doesn't know where it is, but the shortstop Martinez does as he drifts onto the outfield grass and makes the catch for the final out. We're finished with 3 innings of play from Regency Furniture Stadium. It's the second 1-2-3 inning worked by Albaladejo, but he allowed 4 runs in the second. That's why the Blue Crabs lead this game 4-0. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, are you looking to watch a game from one of our luxury suites with 25 of your closest friends? How about the high-end Legends Club in left field? Call 301-638-9788 and ask to speak to a sales representative about your party and group outing.
I'm Stephen Thompson, box office assistant for the Blue Crabs. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? On August the 17th, come out to visit Regency Furniture Stadium as we celebrate Jurassic Park night at the ballpark. We will have a dinosaur appearance and fireworks after the game. We look forward to seeing you on August 17th for all the festivities at the ballpark.
This is Adam Choplik, 6'9" lefty of the Blue Crabs, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Top half of the 4th inning between the Blue Crabs and the Barnstormers, as Daryl Thompson is back out for his 4th inning of work. He has been spectacular up until this point. He's not allowed a run through 3 innings of work, and it's back to the top of the order for the Lancaster Barnstormers is Darian Sanford, who was very busy in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Digs in here in the top of the 4th. Made a couple of spectacular catches. First pitch fastball, a little up and in, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. And you mentioned this a couple of times, Andrew. Those 2 balls that were hit out to deep center field, there are only a handful of guys who make that play, as the 1-0 pitch misses low and in and the count 2-0.
And there's so many reasons why a guy like Darian Sanford is so important and so beneficial for a franchise. Lancaster Barnstormers are lucky to have him. More on this after this pitch.
2-0 on the outside edge, count 2-1.
Not only is it the fact that not a lot of guys get to that ball, so that's, if we want to talk about a big stat like WAR, that's going to add to your WAR. It's runs that would score if it wasn't for a guy like him.
2-1 pitch, swung on, a high pop-up in a shallow center. Garcia had trouble finding it, now does find it in the dark sky and makes the catch for the first out in shallow center field, maybe 15 feet into the outfield grass behind second base.
But additionally, the average is not high at all, but his on-base percentage and his ability to move to the next base and then all the way home when he does get on base is so good that it makes up for everything else. You take a guy like that 10 times out of 10.
First pitch from Darrell Thompson, swung on and fouled off down the third base line, out of play. And there's a lot of talk, especially among young players, prospects coming up, about 5-tool players and what that means. The idea is you got to have power, contact, speed, and there's fielding and throwing. We'll get to a little more on that in a moment. Here's the 0-1 pitch, swung on and fouled back to the screen. Now, Sanford definitely does not have all 5 of those. He has the speed, and he has the fielding, though, and that goes a long ways.
You're exactly right, and I've heard a lot of scouts and a lot of people in the baseball community talk about the fact that a prospect is going to be much more touted if he is very, very, very good at one tool rather than somebody that is above average at every tool, because you're able to work around a guy that has one incredible tool. Now, that mindset doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I trust those people more than I trust myself when it comes to that thing.
1-2 pitch, swung on, and a foul tip deflecting off of the mask of Valerio and over towards the Lancaster dugout. Now, I think it makes a lot of sense, frankly, if someone's an outstanding power hitter, let's say back in the collegiate level, hit maybe 25 or 30 homers, and maybe he only hit like 270, but you develop somebody like that through the minor leagues, and there's a lot of interest in a major league team for someone who maybe only hits 235 but hits 30 or 40 homers a year. Ground ball down the third base line, deflects off of the lip of the grass. Looked like it might go fair for a moment, but it stays in foul territory.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the more I think about it, you can't teach. Maybe I should restate. Maybe I should reposition myself, because a guy that's above average at all 5 tools may never get to that incredible level at the one tool, whereas somebody that is about average at every tool and just incredible at one, let's say that one is speed. In Sanford's case, you can't teach that type of speed. You can teach somebody and try to get them maybe just a little above average at the rest of the 4 tools.
And the 2-2 on the outside corner for strike 3. Michael Martinez goes down looking. He's not happy with the call from the home plate umpire, James Clayton, but there are 2 away in the top of the 4th. Now, going back to that last point again, though, fielding and arm can be almost useless if you're good enough at the plate, because if a player is just terrible in the field and can't really throw, and if you're in the American League and what's likely coming in the National League and the designated hitter, you can just be slotted in there, or you can be slotted in at first base. And it's just not all that important all of a sudden, as the first pitch is a fastball that misses outside for ball 1. If you're at first, you don't have to really throw, other than the rare occasion when you throw to second as part of a double play ball.
You're exactly right, and that I heard
1-0, swung on, a foul tip into the mid of Valerio, count 1-1.
I heard all the time coming up that if you can hit, they're going to find a spot for you in the lineup. If you're a very good fielder, they may not be as apt to find a spot for you in the lineup, because defensive complacency can be overtaken by a very good offensive outing.
1-1, a diving stop by Thompson from his knees. He throws to first. A terrific play from Darrell Thompson, diving off the mound to record the out. We're finished with 3.5 from Regency Furniture Stadium. It's 4-0 Blue Crabs. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, it's Tom Fink, your Director of Sales. You want to show off your basketball skills? Come out to Regency Furniture Stadium on August 12th for Space Jam Night, where we'll have a one-on-one basketball tournament on the court in center field. We look forward to seeing you August 12th.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, are you looking to watch a game from one of our luxury suites? How about the High End Legends Club in left field? Call 301-638-9788 and ask to speak to a sales representative about your party or group outing.
It is the bottom of the fourth inning from Regency Furniture Stadium. The Blue Crabs have a 4-run lead over the Lancaster Barnstormers, and it is Ruby Silva who comes to the plate.
And the third baseman is really shading Silva to the pull side. He's a guy that's really shown us time and time again that he has tremendous opposite field power. He even hit one the other way as a home run earlier in this game.
First pitch fastball to the knees for a strike. The 0-1 is cut on, hit high in the air to center field. Darian Sanford tracks it into left center and makes the grab for the first out.
That was just awfully strange. We've seen people shift Silva like that from time to time this season, but especially when he hit a home run as a line drive, literally tiptoeing the left field foul line earlier in this exact game. It's a little bit surprising to see that type of a shift, but John Griffin's got the power too, Austin.
There's no doubt about that, although his power hasn't quite been there as much recently. Somebody who's picked up the average, though, to 236 on the season. That was in the 170s maybe only a month ago as the first pitch misses low and outside for a ball. Now the home plate umpire, James Clayton, getting the attention of the press box. Not exactly sure what the complaint was. Was there music going? I'm not quite sure.
There was music going. That was the issue.
There are also a couple of heckles from the crowd. As the pitch below the knees. Count 2 balls and no strikes now on John Griffin. Griffin moves his bat in a circular motion. Now waves it behind his head. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Fastball on the inner half for a strike. Count 2-1. Base path's empty with 1 out. 4-0 Blue Crabs from Regency Furniture Stadium. The 1-1 pitch swung on, a ground ball over to short. Michael Martinez fields, throws across the diamond. Quick 2 up and 2 down work from Jonathan Abaladejo. And very interestingly, we have had 8 half innings so far in this ballgame. So far, 7 of them, there has not been a base runner who's reached. It's only been 1 half inning between both clubs where a base runner has reached. That was the bottom of the second. And the Blue Crabs put up 4 runs in that inning.
Yeah, 3 hits in this entire game, all of them coming from the Blue Crabs to this point.
And all in that second inning, as the first pitch to Josh McAdams is cut on and fouled back to the screen behind home plate. Count 0-1. McAdams will be followed by Kent Blackstone if necessary here in the bottom of the 4th. McAdams 1 for 1. He singled to right field. The 0-1 pitch misses low and in the dirt. Now this is an opportunity where Josh McAdams could have stolen first base.
And realistically,
and would have gotten there safely very easily.
There's just not a question about it. He would have been there. But I don't know, man. It might be the batting average point. It might be the principle of it.
The 1-1 pitch cut on and missed, count 1 and 2, and it's very possible that McAdams just isn't thinking of it. And it goes by him, and he goes, and you tell him maybe after the game, what about that pitch in the bottom of the 4th inning where it got by you? Do you think it's stealing? He goes, oh, really? I didn't even remember the pitch got by me. It was just something that just doesn't even register as a batter. As the 1-2 and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes, because you don't think about it. You know, you play baseball for 20 years of your life, and you now all of a sudden you say, oh yeah, ball's alive when it gets by the catcher. The 2-2 to McAdams, swung on and fouled off down the third base line over to the Blue Crabs bullpen. Count remains 2-2. There is absolutely no work going on in the Blue Crabs bullpen after a terrific start from Kyle Simon back in Game 1. Daryl Thompson has looked even better here in Game 2. Base path's empty with 2 outs. 4-0 Blue Crabs. McAdams has his bat on his shoulder. Now picks it up off the shoulder. The 2-2 pitch. Fastball outside edge. Strike 3. Home plate umpire James Clayton rings up Josh McAdams to end the bottom of the 4th inning. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Corey Vaughn. Are you looking for fun on the weekend without breaking the bank? My Eye Doctor Backfin Buddies is for you. For just $15, your child will get in for free to every Friday Blue Crabs home game all season long. Plus, kids receive a Backfin Buddies t-shirt, go on the field for the national anthem, and parents will get a reduced ticket rate. What more could you ask for? Come watch me hit a home run every Friday for just $15.
This is John Hayes, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside Southern Maryland. Andrew Banster alongside Austin Rooney to take you through the final 3 innings of this ball game, at least of the regulation of it. Your Southern Maryland Blue Crabs lead the Lancaster Barnstormers by a score of 4-0. The quartet of runs were all put up back in the bottom of the second inning. That's the only half inning that we have seen any runner reach base in this entire contest. And here comes the first man to lead us off in the top of the 5th. Keep in mind, this is a 7-inning game, as was the first game of this doubleheader, in which the Blue Crabs took down the Lancaster Barnstormers to extend their win streak to 3. First pitch from Thompson left a little bit high, and that's going to go down as ball number 1. Thompson steps back up onto the mound. Here he comes with the 1-0. It's hit high to the left side, not too far though. Joe Benson scurrying off to his left. Takes a couple bounces that way as well. And out number 1 has been recorded. Thompson has been nothing short of terrific this evening. Darryl Thompson doing it all for the Blue Crabs to start off this second half of the season. Let's keep in mind that Southern Maryland played their 69th game of the season as the first game of this doubleheader. Game number 70 is the first game of the second half of this season. It's a clean slate for Southern Maryland, and the next man to step up hits it high to the right side and well foul. And we're going to see the count go to 0-1 to the next man to the plate, facing off against Darryl Thompson for the second time this evening. It's Joey Turdoslavich. He competed in the Home Run Derby at the Atlantic League All-Star Game this past Wednesday, just a couple of days ago. Thompson on his way home with the 0-1. This pitch spoiled back over our heads in the press box. And what a surprise, Darryl working ahead at a count. 0-2, Thompson, obviously that was a joke, and that Thompson has the best control in the Atlantic League, and I feel confident in saying that. How about just 3 walks in his last 28 innings pitched? Nobody with better control than Darryl. 0-2 pitch on its way, and this one misses just a hair high and a hair outside.
You mentioned the 3 walks in his last 23 innings for Darryl Thompson, but he's also only walked 8 in over 95, which I think is maybe even better than the 3 in 23. It shows he's had control all season long.
This pitch jams up the batter a little bit. It's going to take Joe Benson in just about 15 steps, 2 down here in this inning, and I think one of the most impressive parts of Darryl Thompson's outing is that not a single Barnstormer has made solid contact on any pitch that Thompson has issued to this point in the evening, except maybe a foul ball here or there. He has induced time and time again so many shallow pop-ups, and that just takes tremendous control. Thompson has now thrown 65 pitches through 4 2/3 innings. You know, I heard Mike Falsetti talking about what it's like to catch Darryl Thompson a couple of weeks ago. As this pitch popped sky high once again, Edwin Garcia ranges back a couple of steps and puts it away for out number 3. We'll get back to that Thompson story when we come back from the break. You're listening to Blue Crabs Baseball on your Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. It's not the middle of the seventh, but in a 7-inning game, we're going to call it 7th inning stretch time. It is Sweet Caroline time on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Kent Blackstone, infielder for the Blue Crabs. Here at Regency Furniture Stadium, we've dedicated every Friday home game to remember everybody deployed. On Red Fridays, presented by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, the Blue Crabs will wear red uniforms to honor those who have served, plus tickets are just $5 when you show your military ID. Come help us celebrate those who have served our country at Regency Furniture Stadium every Friday night. This is Kent Blackstone, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Daryl Thompson has thrown 5 terrific innings here at Regency Furniture Stadium, and Kent Blackstone's going to lead us off in the bottom of the 5th. Thompson's working with a 4-run cushion. All 4 of those runs came back in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and Kent Blackstone comes up to the plate to face off against Jonathan Abaladejo. He looks off to his right, puts his glove above his head, and the old-timers wind up, gets us to ball number 1 as Blackstone strolls back up to the plate. Looking back at the day to this point, for Blackstone, he's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. He reached base a number of times in game 1 of this doubleheader as he hits one hard down the right field line and just scurries foul. That one was awfully close.
From what I saw, it looked like a fair ball from my vantage point, but then again, I don't want to question the first base umpire, Carl Proctor, who was right there.
So Blackstone sees a 1-1 count. Kent, the DMV area native, coming from Northern Virginia, and he's going to see a relatively, for his sake, in comparison to what he typically sees, a relatively heavy shift. It's really not much of a shift, if at all, but it's noticeable. And then you're going to see the shortstop Martinez as well as his counterpart left side infielder moving a little bit to their left. Blackstone hits it hard to the right side. A slide by the first baseman, Casey Hobson. Blackstone's thinking 2. Here he goes. Darian Sanford gobbles it up, and here goes Kent. He pumps his chest, and he's into second base with a double. And what a way to start us off as Kent Blackstone makes, realistically, what could have been a ground out into a double to lead us off here in this 5th inning. Kent's speed really helped him out there.
Make it a 7-game hit streak for the second baseman, who comes through yet again in a hard ground ball. And this time the first baseman, Casey Hobson, had trouble with it. Deflects into center, and Blackstone dives in safely with a double.
And here comes Edwin Garcia. Boy, has he been good in clutch situations. Wouldn't really call this a clutch situation, but nonetheless, it's a big-time situation, and that you need to pad that lead early and often. Only 4 hits in this entire game, all 4 of them coming from Southern Maryland. As you're going to see Edwin Garcia come up to the plate. Only 4 hits, we said. One of those belongs to Edwin Garcia. He accounts for 2 of the 4 runs batted in for Southern Maryland as well. Raised his average up to 259 with that hit, and a curveball crosses from the right hand of Jonathan Abaladejo, and the count 0-1.
Couple of players who've had their batting averages spiked today include Kent Blackstone and Edwin Garcia. Blackstone came in hitting 248. He's up to 254, and the aforementioned Edwin Garcia who is now batting .259 on the season. McAdams also spiked to .279.
This pitch gets past the catcher, and Edwin Garcia isn't going to steal first, but he'll wave Kent Blackstone over to third, and the speedy Blackstone stands 90 feet away from making this into a 5-0 ball game. Let's keep in mind, this is the first game of the second half for the Blue Crabs. The first game of the doubleheader was game number 69 of 70 in the first half. That was a makeup for a rainout earlier this season. We're going to see one more makeup for a rainout later in this second half. But nonetheless, Southern Maryland is showing signs of starting off on a really good footing here to start off the second half. Infield in for the Barnstormers. They know how crucial Blackstone's run is at third. Garcia just a hair ahead of a curveball, and that'll make him fall behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. As we see every single one of the 4 Barnstormers infielders towing the grass here in Southern Maryland. Garcia waiting the 1-2. It's another off speed, but this one misses on the outside corner. The count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Garcia's batting average a couple of weeks ago dipped down in the low 200s, but he's been on fire ever since. But it hasn't really been an outburst in a specific game. He's just been really good for a big stretch as he smokes one to the right side. That'll definitely be deep enough to get Kent Blackstone in if it were fair. Instead, it skirts its way foul, and this one is just going to be a souvenir. The count remains at 2 balls and as many strikes.
Yeah, it might actually be a better result for Jonathan Abaladejo than a fly out to right field. He could manage to work out of this inning without a run, although it's awfully tough with Blackstone leading off third base and no outs.
Garcia would like to get him in right now. Here comes the 2-2, and it's just blooped to the right side. That'll drop. That's an RBI single for Edwin Garcia. And your Blue Crabs are on top 5-0 over the Lancaster Barnstormers in Southern Maryland. Off to a hot start here in the first game of the second half. It doesn't hurt when Daryl Thompson's on the mound. He provides excellence in nearly every outing. He's been especially good in each of his last 4 outings as Joe Benson, speaking of 4, had a 4-hit game in the final game before the All-Star break at Long Island. That game also featured a season high in hits in a game for the Blue Crabs with 15. Make that with 20 in the game. Check that one more time. How about 21 as Joe Benson steps up to the plate. In this month, Southern Maryland has 2 times broken their own single-game runs record, and they've 2 times broken their single-game hits record, also 2 times broken their single-game walks record. And let's keep in mind it's only July 12th, and we had a 4-game All-Star break sandwiched in at a point this month. This one jams up Joe Benson a little bit. It's hit off to the right side, and here comes the right fielder. He'll come in and catch with his right-handed glove, and we're going to see the first out come and go here in this bottom of the 5th inning. That brings up Mean Dean Green. He's played in 6 games in a Southern Maryland jersey. He has had a hit in each of those games. This is lone game without a hit, which has really done a number on that batting average, Austin. He's all the way down to 400. Not such a bad number to be stuck at.
No, I agree with that, but I'll tell you this much. Dean Green has played or hit the ball very, very hard twice.
As he'll smoke this one to the right side. That'll get down, and 7 it is. Green stays at first, but Garcia doesn't settle at second. He'll walk into third base, and runners are on the corners with 1 down for who else but the 2019 Atlantic League Home Run Derby champion. You're a champ, Corey. And he's not even going to face Jonathan Abaladejo, who's visibly frustrated with Ross Peoples, the manager for the Barnstormers' decision to take him out of the game. You always love to see the gamers in the game of baseball. They don't ever want to come out, but that's what Abaladejo will do. His day's done. The runners on the corners belong to him. And Corey Vaughn would like to bring them both in on one swing of the bat on the other end of this break. You're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Hey Blue Crabs fans, are you looking to watch a game from one of our luxury suites?
How about the High End Legends Club in left field? Call 301-638-9788 and ask to speak to a sales representative about your party or group outing.
Pedro Echemendia will come in and take place of Jonathan Albaladejo. He's still on the hook for the runners on the corners, and Corey Vaughn steps up to the plate. There is one down in this inning, and we're going to see Vaughn dig into the plate. Now, earlier in this contest, he extended his streak of 36 games in games in which he's either reached base or had an RBI. This pitch on the inside corner and swung on and missed by Corey Vaughn. As Echemendia comes up to the mound to face off against what is right now a very potent Blue Crabs lineup. Vaughn is the pinnacle of that potent Blue Crabs lineup. He leads the team in many categories. Takes a fastball on the outside corner. Very well-placed pitch off the right hand of Echemendia. Looking at the numbers on the season, he's pitched in just 5 games. He's only allowed 1 hit in 6 1/3 innings, although he has walked 4 batters. No runs allowed. And he's also finished 1 game, a 1-0 record for Echemendia. Look over to first. Here comes the pitch. Vaughn swings through an off-speed pitch. And a really good job to come into this game and strike out one of the toughest guys to strike out in the Atlantic League in Corey Vaughn. So that leaves it up to Charlie Valerio to extend this Southern Maryland lead over the Lancaster Barnstormers. But Valerio, a pretty good candidate to do so, Austin.
Yeah, you make a good point about that. He's been hitting the ball very, very well right now for the Blue Crabs. And, he's got the highest batting average in the team among qualifiers at .299. He's got the second highest OPS at .804. Someone who's come through in a big way for this Blue Crabs team.
Valerio with a long look out into the field. Echemendia matching him. 2 down, runners on the corners, and a first pitch hit hard to the right side. A dive is not close enough for Lancaster, and an RBI single makes it a half dozen for the Blue Crabs, while the Lancaster Barnstormers have been blank to this point. It has been a phenomenal day on both sides of the baseball, not only in Game 2, but Game 1 was really good as well. Southern Maryland on the brink of matching a season high in terms of a win streak, as it would be 4 straight should they continue on the pace they're on and win this ball game. Here comes Ruby Silva. He started the scoring off tonight with a 2-run home run. That was back in the bottom of the second. Southern Maryland would plate another pair in that same inning, and we've got another one here in this same inning. Runner on second. Silva takes about belt high, a little bit inside, and the count now sits at no balls. Make that 1 ball and no strikes. Runners on first and second. It's Dean Green standing at second base. He extended his hit streak to 7 games earlier in this inning. Charlie Valerio had an RBI single to follow. And Ruby Silva looks to extend what has already been a terrific day. Takes another pitch inside, and Pedro Echemendia falls behind 2-0. The first run that's scored since Echemendia came in did belong to Jonathan Albaladejo, a former Atlantic League Pitcher of the Year winner. Silva patiently awaiting in his left-handed batter's box. Green doesn't have the best speed at second, so a ball in the alley will likely be required, and that ball is in the alley. Darian Sanford's speed will stop it from dropping in the alley, however, as that's going to drop into his glove. But the Blue Crabs played a pair here in this 5th inning of action. Southern Maryland on top by a half dozen, and we're through 5 innings of baseball. Through this point in the game, 6 runs on 7 hits, no errors for the Blue Crabs. As for the Barnstormers, no runs, nobody's reached base, no hits, and no errors. We're through 5 in Southern Maryland. When we return on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network, it's Daryl Thompson back out onto the mound. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Devin Monahan, box office manager for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs baseball team. On Sunday, August 4th, bring your kids out to Regency Furniture Stadium at 2 p.m. for Pirates and Princesses Day. You'll get to watch a fun game of Blue Crabs baseball with character appearances. We look forward to seeing you and your kids on August 4th.
This is Ruby Silva, and you are listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside Regency Furniture Stadium. Andrew Banster alongside Austin Rooney as we take you into the top of the 6th inning of baseball. Your Blue Crabs playing host to the Lancaster Barnstormers in the first game of the second half. Daryl Thompson back out onto the mound. He's been awfully good to this point, and the next man to come up to face him will come in the form of Andrew Appland, the left fielder, wears number 31 on the back of his jersey, and he'll take the first pitch high off of the right arm of Daryl Thompson. Looking back at the scoring to this point in the game, Silva homered in the second. Edwin Garcia followed with a 2 RBI single. Fastball catches for strike number 1. Garcia then singled again, which also brought in a run, and Charlie Valerio had an RBI single to follow. The latter 2 were in the 5th. 1-1 the count. Thompson jams up the batter Appland, and the count 1-2. Thompson has just been on his game in each of his last 5 starts, including tonight, in which he has issued just 3 walks. He has more than 25 strikeouts. As this pitch hit well to the right side, Ruby Silva coming in, catching a line drive for out number 1. Next man to come up to the plate comes in the form of the designated hitter, number 5, Zach Schenk. Schenk followed by the catcher, number 8, Parker Morin. Keep in mind, this is a 7-inning game here on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. It's the second of a twin bill. It has been a brisk doubleheader here in Southern Maryland. We mentioned earlier how last year there was a doubleheader between these two teams in which we were on the air for more than 7 hours. First game of the doubleheader was 17 innings. The Blue Crabs walked off on a Frank Martinez single in the bottom of the 17th. Schenk awaiting in his right-handed batter's box. The 0-1 just misses on the outside corner. The count, a ball and a strike.
And what better way to start the second half of the season than have Daryl Thompson go out there, and he's pitched incredibly well here through 5 1/3 innings of work. And hopefully for the Blue Crabs' sake, propel them into a playoff spot here in the second half.
Yeah, Southern Maryland could really use starting off on a good foot. Now, if we look back at the first game of the first half, it was a Blue Crabs win by a score of 9-1. Who else but Daryl Thompson got the win that night? As that was the only time this season Southern Maryland has been ahead in the division. It's Daryl Thompson strikes out another batter. He has been very, very good tonight. Not a single Barnstormer has found their way on base. 2 down, nobody on, and Parker Morin digs up to the plate. Daryl Thompson is just putting his stamp onto this game. Thompson in his 8th year here in Southern Maryland. He is a La Plata native. He's got family from the area, was drafted by the Montreal Expos out of La Plata High School, is one of 2 La Plata High School graduates to go on to play in the major leagues. Thompson made his Atlantic League make that major league debut in 2008. Thompson, glove in front of the face. Here he comes out of the windup. The 1-0 hit high in the air. That'll do it for the 6th. Garcia, the sure glove shortstop, gets called off by Joe Benson. And we're through 6 innings of Lancaster offense here in Southern Maryland. The score 6-0 as we take you into the bottom of the 6th inning of baseball. You are listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
The National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum is a place with thousands of stories to be told. It's a place to relive baseball's greatest moments and share them with future generations. It's a place to experience the game and how it has shaped our history. Cooperstown is a destination with something for the entire family. Our stories to tell, your memories to share. Plan your trip to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown at baseballhall.org.
Hi, I'm Seth Disler, sales executive for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Calling all farmers, come out to the ballpark for Agriculture Night on August 15th. At the game, we will recognize the great work that farmers in Maryland and across the country do for us. We look forward to seeing all farmers at the game on August 15th.
This is Corey Vaughn, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside Southern Maryland. We take you into the bottom of the 6th frame of baseball. 7 total hits in this game, all of them coming from Blue Crabs. In fact, everybody that has reached base in this contest has been a Blue Crab. 6-0 the score in favor of Southern Maryland in a scheduled 7-inning game. John Griffin up to the plate, and his first pitch he sees from the right-hander, number 20, Pedro Ecamendia, is going to catch the outside corner and be swung on and missed. 0-1 the count. Ecamendia set and deals. The 0-1 misses outside, and we're even at a ball and a strike. Now, Ecamendia's last appearance before this contest was back on July the 7th, the last day before the All-Star break. He went 1 inning, allowing 1 run. He went 1 inning, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, and a strikeout. This pitch hit hard to the left side, and Adam Choplick catches it sitting down there in the bullpen. Nice catch from Choplick. Thompson's been good enough tonight. We don't need anybody out of the bullpen. Yes, we're going to see the count run to 1-2. Ecamendia, the story on him. He's a righty, 6'2", 185 pounds, out of Ciego de Avila, Cuba, as John Griffin swings through strike number 3. 1 down here in the bottom of the 6th. Keep in mind, once again, 7-inning game, so unless the Barnstormers can muster a half dozen in this coming half inning, we are going to see the Blue Crabs come away victorious in their second half debut. Still one more game to finish back in the first half. That'll come in just a little bit, a couple of weeks from now. Nonetheless, at the moment, Southern Maryland is sitting with a clean slate in the first half. They end with a record of 25-44 for the moment being, as Josh McAdams stays hot. He's got a single up the middle, and that'll do another good duty for his batting average as that climbs above 280. He's 2 for 3 on the evening with a run scored.
Yeah, he continues to hit the ball well. He's someone who swings the bat a lot. We had the opportunity to catch up with him, and he says as a hitter, I'm not going up there to walk. I'm going up there to try to get a base hit, and he's done that twice already in this evening's contest. He claims he swings as much as 85% of the time. I think it's a bit of an overestimate, but he does swing the bat quite a bit.
Blackstone 1 for 3 tonight, and he digs up to the plate. McAdams' average now up to 290 on the season.
I was about to say it. You said 280 originally, and I said, yeah, you're right. And then I was about to say, what? 11 points. The single hit, a limited sample size for McAdams, and that batting average spikes.
Blackstone spoils this pitch and fouls it back over the screen. The count, a ball and a strike. Blackstone's average sitting at 254, came into this doubleheader sitting at 248. Drew a pair of walks in the first game of this twin bill. Southern Maryland did win that game. Southern Maryland looking to extend their win streak to a quartet. And this ball gets away from the catcher, Parker Morin. And the count runs to 2 balls and a strike. Blackstone, somebody with very good plate vision. Rarely will he be fooled at the plate, and that was Echemendia's goal on that pitch. Here comes number 6, Kent Blackstone, digging back into his left-handed batter's box. He'll take a big hack at a pitch. He swings through it, however. 2-2 the count. We should give you the information that Blackstone will be leading the charge tomorrow as the Blue Crabs will be taking over Foul Pull Sports Snapchat. It's their minor league account. All you got to do is go to Snapchat and add at Foul Pull Minors. You can see the Blue Crabs in live action. You ever want to know what it's like to live a day in the life of a professional baseball player, or more specifically, in the life of a Blue Crab? There's not going to be many more opportunities better than this one that's coming tomorrow. So don't be shy. You got to make sure and add them on Snapchat. Make sure you can find out what it's like to be a Blue Crab. 3-2 the count. Blackstone fouls this one straight back, and we're going to stay at a full count. He is well known in this league to draw deep, deep counts, many times those ending in some way reaching base. The Barnstormers tonight have not reached base. The Blue Crabs' fielding has been very good, flawless to this point. Full count to Ken Blackstone. Chopped over towards the right side, and it's going to take at least one more for Echemendia.
Yeah, and Kent Blackstone has one of the best walk percentages on this team. That's walks over plate appearances. He is second only to Corey Vaughn.
Echemendia resides in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Last played for the Chicago Dogs of the American Association. Alongside a couple guys on this team Ken Blackstone rung up on that pitch. He thought it was a little bit inside, but he's going to go back to the dugout empty. 2 down here in this bottom half of the 6th inning, and Edwin Garcia, likely the last offensive hope for the Blue Crabs, or the last offensive presence for the Blue Crabs in this game, unless Lancaster is able to muster at least a half dozen in this coming half inning. This is a 7-inning game. Echemendia looks on home. Garcia waiting the first pitch. Here it comes. A curveball crosses for strike number 1. And we've got no one count. Garcia, in his 3rd season in Southern Maryland, has been either team MVP or team co-MVP in each of his first 2 seasons. Also was dubbed the Atlantic League's finest fielder last season as he was given the Rawlings Gold Glove Atlantic League Award. 0-1 the count. 6 runs on 8. Make that 6 runs on 8 hits. No errors for the Blue Crabs. And all zeros for this Barnstormers squad as we're going to see another pitch slap back into the screen. No balls and 2 strikes the count.
Yeah, Daryl Thompson has faced the minimum through 6 innings. He's got something special going.
No balls and 2 strikes to Edwin Garcia. Thompson eagerly awaiting to come back to the mound, you'd have to imagine.
I'm sure he is. A lot of times when a pitcher has something special like this going on, the rest of the dugout moves away from the pitcher, lets him have his own space.
Sometimes you're just in a zone, and that's how Daryl's been tonight. He's looking to pick up his 5th straight win. As Edwin Garcia digs back into the batter's box. A ball and 2 strikes the count to the shortstop. And he'll await the next pitch from Ekamandia. The right-hander wears number 20 on the back of his red jersey. Here comes the 1-2. Catches the outside corner. We are through 6 innings of baseball. And trust me, folks, you do not want to turn the dial. We're on the brink of Atlantic League history, and it can happen in this next half inning on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
This is Daryl Thompson, and you're listening to the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network.
Welcome back inside the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. It's a pleasure to have you joining us as Daryl Thompson finds himself yet again facing history here on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network. Let's read through a couple of the things that he's done leading us in to this next potential feat. In Daryl Thompson's last 4 starts, he has moved up the Atlantic League record boards 3 times. It has happened in innings pitched, wins, and strikeouts. And he's looking to do it again here tonight as Thompson digs up onto the mound. He's got the top of the Barnstormers order, and he's faced the minimum to this point. Has not allowed a single base runner.
I'll tell you, Andrew, you mentioned some of those other feats. This tops them all by a lot, I would say.
And it wouldn't even be close. Darian Sanford, the first man, and he will get strike number 1. Thompson with a fresh start here in this top of the 7th. This is a 7-inning game. Keep that in mind as this pitch misses just a little bit high. 1-1 the count.
We have seen Daryl Thompson fall behind a couple times in the count, as much as 3-0, and manage to work back and get an out.
Here comes the 1-1 to Darian Sanford. This pitch hit high, and that will stay in. Here comes Josh McAdams. He calls and will catch. We are 1 out into this top of the 7th inning, and Daryl Thompson is on the brink of Atlantic League history.
That was the 5th time in tonight's contest Josh McAdams has recorded a pop-out over at third base. He's been super active defensively and has been a crucial part of the success Daryl Thompson has had thus far.
Next up, number 1, the shortstop, Michael Martinez. 2 outs left before Daryl Thompson finds himself having notched a first in Atlantic League history. Not a single individual has reached base this evening off of Daryl Thompson. here in his 7th and final inning of work in a 7-inning game. Thompson coming in with the 0-1. This pitch slapped and foul. And let's keep in mind that nobody has even made solid contact off of Daryl Thompson tonight, outside of a line drive to the right fielder, Ruby Silva, back in the 6th. The only other thing that comes to mind was a well-struck foul ball that was never even in question of being fair. Here comes Thompson, the 0-2. Nearly catches the outside corner. No, says the home plate umpire, and the count of ball and 2 strikes.
It's a close pitch, and sometimes pitchers in a situation like this will get some benefits of the doubt. Not that time from Thompson.
No inch given by our home plate umpire. As this one fouled, I was kind of worried at first that was not a foul ball and that we were going to see a drop third strike. Nonetheless, it is a foul ball, and Thompson, as always, smiling with a grin ear to ear. A ball and 2 strikes the count. Southern Maryland trying to start this second half off 1-0. Michael Martinez hits it to the right side and just foul, and he'll stay alive in this at bat. Thompson up next will face the second baseman, number 21, Dan Gamache. A ball and 2 strikes the count. The Blue Crabs in this game with 6 hits, make that 6 runs, 8 hits. This ball hit right up the middle off of Daryl Thompson's ankle, and that man is going to reach base. Charlie Valerio did everything he possibly could as Daryl Thompson finds himself having a perfect game broken up, 2 outs shy of becoming the first individual in Atlantic League history to issue a perfect game. 2 outs shy as Valerio did everything he possibly could to make sure that Michael Martinez couldn't get on safely. But boy, I mean, what a way to break a perfect game. It's a hit up the middle that hits off the pitcher. I mean, Thompson is realistically one of the best individuals at fielding his position. I once heard our bench coach Joe Walsh say that in the 6 years that those two have been on the same team, never once has he gotten a ground ball past Daryl Thompson in pitcher fielding priorities. So it's a lot to get one past him here. It hits off of his ankle, and the perfect game is broken here in the top of the 7th inning, the 7th and final inning. And Austin and I can finally let out a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's a tough way to let it go. Daryl Thompson, just gets very unlucky. If that ball goes past Thompson, you think that either Garcia or Blackstone probably makes a play on that ball, but instead, the first hit registered by the Barnstormers.
The perfect game that could have been, it would have been the first perfect game in Atlantic League history. Thompson comes up 2 outs shy of it, but knowing Daryl, he'll come fighting back for that record at least another time. Takes a special effort to get to the point in the game that he got. A ball and a strike the count. 1 down, 1 on. That's the first time we can say that tonight. As Daryl Thompson on the mound. First time working out of the stretch, and we're in the 7th inning of baseball. The left-handed bat of Dan Gamache steps into the plate. Fastball, once again, not giving an inch. And honestly, Austin, I hate to criticize any umpire, but I think that he was right. I think that when we go back to that pitch against Michael Martinez, it was probably not a strike. But you alluded to something, and it does happen from time to time, and it makes you wish in some facet that Thompson would have gotten that strike 3 call, because realistically, we'd be sitting on a perfect game and 1 out away from it. Nonetheless, the rules were not bent in today's ball game, which I was kind of alluding to.
And there was a similar situation. It went the other way, of course, with the whole Armando Galarraga situation that happened maybe close to 10 years ago. I remember watching that at home, and Jim Joyce, the umpire over at first base, called the runner safe when he, in fact, was out by a step and a half. And that was the difference in that ball game.
Yeah, that was the perfect game that
Galarraga kind of threw and then didn't technically, so.
I'd say if it was up to me, I'd give him the perfect game. But anyways.
He was very gracious towards Jim Joyce, the umpire, afterwards, who was extremely apologetic.
Sometimes Human emotions transcend the games that we play. 2-2 the count, and that's really the special thing about sports in all reality. The little stories that come out of this incredible game sometimes are really, those are the things we remember throughout time. Of course, we remember the most home runs ever and what have you, but of course, we really remember the speeches. If you look back in history, the color barrier being broken. You see the big speeches in Yankees history. I want to be a Yankee for the rest of my life, and what have you, as this ball dribbled down the first base line. And we're going to see the count remain at 2-2 strikes. As Daryl Thompson steps back onto the mound. As we hear a large crowd making their voices be heard here in Southern Maryland.
A couple of fans who are making their voices especially heard tonight.
That's a good way to put it. 2-2 strikes the count as Daryl Thompson hops back onto the rubber. Here comes the pitch. Fouled off. And we'll stay at 2-2 strikes. And Dan Gamache, if nothing else, is getting his money's worth. As Daryl Thompson trying to lead his team to a good start to this second half. First game of the second half, and of course it's a clean slate in the second half. Whole lot of good things, and Daryl usually has good things come with him, as yet again another pitch fouled off. What an at-bat by Dan Gamache, who just fouled off what was the 9th Thompson offering of the at-bat. Keep in mind, Daryl's only thrown 95 pitches tonight, so 9 pitches in a single at-bat is a whole lot. Two balls and as many strikes, a man at first. This pitch hit well to the left side. And foul yet again, so 10 pitches in the at-bat.
And I'll tell you, we were talking about the voices, especially heard. A lot of times the batters will hear this in minor league ballparks.
Oh, yeah, no question.
And, you know, the fans, we got great fans here at Regency Furniture Stadium. The ballpark has quite a few tonight, but again, there are a lot of. It's not loud enough so that he can't hear this.
Oh yeah.
At MLB Park, maybe you can't hear it. Here, you can hear it for sure.
It's an overarching voice, and there's just no question about it. You can hear that voice above everything else.
There's an interesting story I've got about this. A minor leaguer who makes videos on YouTube about his minor league experience. He played a little bit in the MLB as well. Matt Antonelli said when he was in A-ball, he signed a $1.6 million signing bonus when he was signed. Once he got to A-ball, he heard a fan heckling him. He says he remembers it to this day. The fan said, "Hey, when are you going to make some of that money, Matt?" And he's remembered it to this day. So it sticks with a lot of these players, despite the fact that, you know, some people may think it doesn't. You know, they can hear it, and they do.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And I was talking to the umpires about kind of a similar, you know, do you hear fans heckling at you? And they were saying, oh, yeah, we do. Of course we do. And, you know, they said that, you know, they just kind of brush it off. But, of course, you're still a human that's getting yelled things at you that can be deemed hurtful. So, of course, it's going to hurt if you can hear it. 2-2 the count. Finally, Daryl Thompson wins the battle, and now you hear the crowd. Two down, and Daryl Thompson 1 out away from matching Craig Stem, who threw a one-hitter earlier this season. That was an 8-inning affair for Craig Stem. It was against the Sugar Land Skeeters back on May 1st. Thompson has been terrific of late. First pitch from Daryl to the next man up. He's going to miss just a little bit upstairs. A ball and no strikes the count here with 2 down in a 7-inning game between your Blue Crabs and the Lancaster Barnstormers. Thanks about offering does number 15 Caleb Gindel, who we saw in a pitching outing in game 1 of this game, of this doubleheader. He actually did a very good job. It was his 13th outing of the season, but it's just so obscure to see. Not as much for us as We've seen Josh McAdams pitch a number of times. Charlie Valerio has a signature in that if a ball fouls off of his mask, he pretends as though it never happens. He is a brick wall back there. Does it here, and the count 2 balls and a strike. A right-hander is warming up in the Blue Crabs bullpen. It's John Hayes.
I'm not sure if he's coming into the game or he's throwing a bullpen or exactly what he's doing out there, because he came in and warmed up a little bit back in game 1 before Simon pitched the complete game.
I'm wondering if Darrell's ankle, that was hit by a ball earlier to break up his perfect game. The only thing I can think, because typically Darrell will throw 7 on a normal night and you see no action in the bullpen. So maybe they're worried if his ankle was to flare up again. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but he is sitting right at 100 pitches. This easily the longest inning in terms of pitches thrown. Next pitch will be number 104 for Darrell Thompson, which really isn't much for him. The 2-2 once more. Caleb Gindle's not going to let this game end easy.
I'll tell you, first about Charlie Valerio, and we talked about, he's a brick wall behind home plate, but he is so good defensively as well. He throws out so many batters going to second base, a terrific pop time, somebody who you really watch out for as a runner in terms of a catcher behind home plate.
Yeah, and he is tied for the league lead in runners thrown out as Kent Blackstone fields. It throws to second, and the batter's out. What a play by Kent Blackstone. And Darrell Thompson completes the complete game one-hit outing. What a night in front of his hometown crowd for the right-hander Darrell Thompson as your Blue Crabs sweep the Lancaster Barnstormers and start off this second half on the right note. A 1-0 record in the second half. As for the win streak, it's extended to tied for a season high with a total of 4 in a row as the Blue Crabs take down the Lancaster Barnstormers by a score of 6-0. It was with 1 out in Darrell Thompson's final inning of work that his perfect game was broken up. He was 2 outs away from becoming the first ever individual in the Atlantic League that finds himself with a perfect game issued. What a game and what a doubleheader we saw, Austin.
It was terrific. Now, Darrell Thompson, after he got the final out there, and he and Charlie Valerio gave each other a high five, you could see the huge smile run across Darrell Thompson's face. I think it was a smile partially of happiness of, having completed this game, but also a little bit of relief and sadness probably mixed in there. You were that close to getting the perfect game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, it's got to be in the back of your mind. There's just no question about it. But Darrell Thompson finds himself 2 outs away from recording the first ever perfect game in the Atlantic League. And we see Stan Clyburn, after this first game of the doubleheader, find himself having notched his 1,700th win in his professional managerial career. That's what we've got for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow on the Blue Crabs Broadcast Network, and we will send it to a break. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. And remember, most importantly, go Blue Crabs.